The four main elements in a fire are fuel, heat, oxygen, and the chemical reaction between the flammable material and the oxygen. Successful firefighting means removing one or more of these elements as quickly as possible. Effectively, this puts out the fire. Removing fuel is fuel starvation. Removing heat is cooling. Removing oxygen is smothering. And the chemical reaction can be interrupted using certain types of powder and other extinguishers. The basic rules of firefighting are common to all ships. They can be remembered by the letters F, I, R, E. F stands for find it.
Fire! Fire!
I stands for isolate it, provided that this only takes a few seconds. R stands for report it, which can include triggering a fire alarm.
Hello, Captain, I discovered a smoke in the Mindy.
And E stands for extinguish it, but only if it is small enough for one portable extinguisher. If that is not the case, then E stands for escape. Portable fire extinguishing equipment comes in different types. You must use the right equipment in the right situation. Not doing so could cost you your life. To help you, there is usually a sign on the wall, as well as a label on the extinguisher to say what type it is. The right type of extinguisher should be in the right place for the type of fire which is most likely to occur in a particular area. But always check that the extinguisher is appropriate to the fire. Later in this section of the programme, we'll cover how to use firefighting equipment properly. But firstly, let's look at the different types you may encounter on board ship. Water extinguishers are suitable for dealing with fires involving carbonaceous material. As we noted in the first programme of this series, carbonaceous material is any solid, non-metallic material which will burn if ignited and leaves a residue of ash when it does. There are many examples of this on board most ships. The list includes wood, paper, rubber, some plastics, most bedding, and cloth like curtains, sheets, rags, and so on. Water rapidly cools the burning material and hinders the spread of combustion. There are two basic types of foam extinguisher: stored pressure and the gas cartridge type. They are particularly suitable for use on flammable liquid fires. Direct the foam onto a vertical surface so it can flow down and over the entire surface of the burning liquid. Never aim foam directly at the surface of the liquid. If the liquid temperature is high and the surface is penetrated, the water content of the foam will rapidly turn into steam. This may produce the same boil-over effect you see when water is sprayed straight into burning oil. AFFF, aqueous film-forming foam, has considerable penetrating power and is particularly effective on flammable liquid fires. AFFF may be applied as a spray. Carbon dioxide extinguishers work by depriving the fire of oxygen. They can be stopped and restarted as required. The charge may last for about half a minute, depending on the size. Because CO2 extinguishers work by forcing oxygen, which we all need to breathe, out of the immediate atmosphere, in confined areas, it should only be used with extreme caution. This type of extinguisher is most often used on fires involving electrical equipment. CO2 has some effect on flammable liquid fires, but may not be effective on carbonaceous fires. Dry powder extinguishers act as a flame inhibitor. They suppress a fire by chemically interfering with the process of combustion. Dry powder extinguishers are usually used on liquid or gaseous fires. They may also be used for other types of fires, depending on the powder type. Fire blankets are very useful in situations where a fire needs to be smothered, particularly if it's in a container like a pan or waste bin. If there is a heat source, turn it off first, if it is safe to do so, before applying the blanket. Cover the container with the blanket, using the top edge rolled back to protect your hands as you do so. Leave the container to cool with the blanket still on it. With pan fires particularly, it may be several hours before it's safe to remove the blanket. A full list of fire extinguishing equipment and details of the kinds of fires on which each type can be used appears in the workbook which accompanies this video. As part of your familiarization and training when you join a ship, you should have learnt about the ship's fire alarms and signals, where the extinguishers in any area are located, and what type they are. If you discover a fire, you must know when it is reasonable to try to extinguish it on your own, and when it is not safe to do so.
Oh, smoke!
But first of all, whether you believe you can extinguish the fire or not, raise the alarm. The quickest way to do so may be to activate the nearest fire alarm. Don't use an extinguisher on a fire unless it's limited to the material that was originally ignited. It's contained in a wastebasket, for example, and it hasn't spread to other materials. And only use an extinguisher on a fire if the air is safe to breathe and there is not too much heat or smoke. As a useful general rule, if the room temperature has only slightly increased and visibility is good, with any smoke above head height, it may be safe to tackle the fire. Remember, 7 out of 10 fire-related deaths are caused not by flames, but by inhaling smoke and other fumes. So, never attempt to extinguish a fire if there is too much smoke present. Also, if there is a lot of smoke, remember that emergency escape breathing devices, or EEBDs, are just that. They should only be used to allow the wearer to escape from an area affected by fire or smoke. Never use an EEBD while attempting to rescue someone else from fire or smoke, or trying to extinguish a fire. You could be putting your own life and the lives of others at serious risk. As a general rule, if you believe it would be dangerous to tackle the fire without additional personal protective equipment, do not attempt to do so. If you do use an extinguisher, make sure it's the right kind and follow the maker's written instructions and your firefighting training. Follow the PASS principle. P stands for pull the pin. A stands for aim, for a water-based extinguisher that will normally be low at the base of the fire. But check the manufacturer's instructions. In other situations, for instance using a foam extinguisher to put out a flammable liquid fire, the instructions will be different. The first S stands for squeeze the handle, and the second S stands for sweep the nozzle from side to side. Stand away from the fire and move gradually nearer to it as the fire is extinguished. Make sure that you keep an exit at your back in case you need to withdraw safely. Never get into a situation where fire can come between you and your way out. You can find more information about this and other topics covered in this program in the workbook. Inspect fire extinguishers at recommended intervals and follow planned maintenance schedules. Some extinguishers may also need to be inverted at specified intervals to stop the contents becoming compacted. Update the appropriate records after inspection. Some extinguishers can be easily and safely recharged. Always recharge such extinguishers as soon as possible after they have been used. In the gas cartridge type, replace the carbon dioxide cartridge, but make sure any remaining CO2 charge has been completely released before dismantling it. When replacing both the cartridge and the head unit of the extinguisher, make sure that these are correctly threaded and properly tightened. If you don't, the extinguisher could fail, explosively. Later in the programme, we'll look at more safety techniques for firefighting. But next, we're going to look at fighting fires with hoses. Of course, water is the most abundant firefighting medium available at sea. Although anyone on board may play a part in the storage and maintenance of hoses, pumps and other firefighting equipment, fighting fires with water hoses is usually done only by firefighting teams, who are able to follow the procedures and guidelines which form part of their specific training. First, however, the water must be pumped to the hydrants. At least 2 main pumps should be available for this. For safety reasons, a third backup pump, the emergency fire pump, is usually located away from the engine room. A ship's firefighting installation will be powerful enough to allow 2 jets to reach any part of the vessel that is normally accessible to the crew. Store hoses correctly rolled up. The 2 most common methods are on the bight, or Dutch roll, and the normal roll. Whichever one is used on your ship, it's important that all hoses are rolled up in a consistent manner. Drain hoses after use by walking along, holding them at shoulder level. Hoses are tough, but shock can damage them. Turn hydrants on and off gently to avoid sudden surges of pressure. The variable jet spray nozzle is the type most commonly used on ships. Before turning on the nozzle, point it down and away from the fire. Set the spray to a fine, wide water curtain to cool and protect the operators as they get near the fire. Then turn the nozzle to concentrate the water into a spray with an arc of about 60 degrees. Some vessels are equipped with a nozzle with turbine-driven revolving teeth. This type of nozzle is very effective because it produces very fine droplets and is adjustable to whatever spray pattern is required. The finely divided drops of water reduce the heat of the fire to below the ignition temperature of the burning material. As well as this, the resulting blanket of steam helps seal off the fire. If possible, attack the blaze from the windward side, or from wherever there is the least smoke. Before opening the door to a fire area, feel the heat of the door with the back of your hand, up and down, and then the handle. If the door opens towards you, keep your shoulder and knee against it and open it slowly. Remember that the fire in the room may have generated a quantity of hot and flammable gas. In contact with the air, it may flash, perhaps with explosive violence. The fire will suck cold air in from low down and flames will billow out from the top of the entrance. So keep low and on the hinged side of the door. If a door to a fire is open, close it. This will contain the fire and deprive it of air. In fires, keep low. Not only will you be able to see better, but even if you are wearing breathing apparatus, you won't feel the effects of heat and steam as quickly. When working in smoke, feel your way ahead with your feet. Keep them flat on the deck. Shuffle, don't lift them up, as you would do when walking normally. Also, feel in front of you by moving your free arm up and down. If possible, always keep contact with your teammates and with a bulkhead or other point of reference to avoid becoming disorientated. Good practice is to keep contact with the bulkhead using the back of your hand. To search a larger space, keep contact with the bulkhead, hold hands with another member of the team, and stretch out feeling forwards with your feet. Turn the hose off from time to time to allow the steam to clear. This stops the team being scalded by the steam, improves visibility, and reduces the humidity. In a real situation, you may only be able to see a few centimeters. When working with breathing apparatus, check your gauges regularly. This is especially important before going further into a space or down a ladder. As a useful general rule, assume that the air supply from the breathing apparatus will last a maximum of 15 minutes. The person in charge of BA control should let you know before your air supply is too low. But even if they have not done so, if you hear the whistle or other signal that indicates your air supply is running low, turn back immediately. To get down a ladder, cool the area, and then lower the hose to the bottom of the ladder. The first person down must wait for their teammates before hitting the fire. If you don't do this, steam could go up the hatch and scald your companions. Work as a team and look after each other. Always warn others of any obstruction as you advance.
Right, are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put your head down.
Although most BA sets require little onboard maintenance, inspect them and any other personal protective equipment you may need to use in a fire emergency at least once a month, or in accordance with the manufacturer's recommendations. This is a vital aspect of safety in firefighting. And finally, make sure you always obey the rules for effective firefighting. Sound the alarm promptly.
Captain, I discovered a smoke in the Mindy.
Give proper information. And muster without delay. Know the equipment, where it is kept, and how to use it. Take fire drills seriously. They may save your life. Remember, nearly all shipboard fires can be extinguished if they are reported and tackled correctly in their early stages. Fixed installations come in many types and sizes. High fog systems are designed for use in crew and passenger accommodation and in enclosed spaces. They propel microscopic-sized water droplets into the fire area, which then absorb energy by cooling air and fire gases. Water spray and drencher systems are often fitted on passenger cruise ships and ferries to extinguish accommodation and vehicle deck fires respectively. Fixed CO2 systems are stored in large cylinders, which must be regularly checked for content. CO2 is used for fighting fires in engine rooms, cargo holds and other enclosed spaces. With foam-fixed installations, pipes carry the foam from storage tanks to strategic points around the engine room, or direct to mobile applicators on the deck or in cargo areas. High-expansion foam is sometimes used in engine rooms and other large enclosed spaces. Entering an area once it has been deployed could cause disorientation, which can be very dangerous. Dry powder fixed installations are widely used in LPG and LNG ships, as they're especially suitable for fires involving liquefied flammable gases. In the event of a serious fire in an engine room, pump room or cargo hold, where the safety of the vessel is threatened,
Okay, Chief, be sure that everybody is out from the engine room. And
the master will have to make a judgment about the right time to use a fixed installation, especially one, like a CO2 installation, for example, which is considered to be a last chance means of extinguishing a fire.
Chief, Captain, start deploy the CO2.
Yeah, okay.
Using such an installation means the affected area has to be evacuated prior to its use, and will remain unsafe to enter until the fire has been fully extinguished and re-ignition is no longer likely. So, if an installation of this type is to be used, first evacuate the area. Then close all doors, stop all ventilation and extraction fans, and close all funnel flaps. And take a roll call to make sure everyone on board is accounted for. Once all this has been done, the CO2 or other agent can be introduced into the area. If possible, boundary cool the area to ensure all the heat is dissipated before attempting to ventilate the space. If you don't do this, the fire may spread or reignite. You can find more information about the topics we've covered in the workbook. Next, let's briefly look back at some key points from this program. And off gently to avoid hose damage. In fires, keep low. It will be easier to see and you won't feel the effects of heat, smoke and steam as quickly. In smoke, feel your way ahead with your feet. Feel in front of you with your free arm. And always keep contact with your teammates and with a bulkhead. Work as a team and look after each other. Always follow the rules for effective firefighting. Sound the alarm promptly.
Captain discovered a smoke in the Mindy.
Give proper information and muster without delay. Know your equipment and always take fire drills seriously. They could save your life. And finally, fixed installations come in many types and sizes. They can prove vital if the safety of the vessel is threatened. Posters are an effective way of reminding seafarers about safe working practices. There's more information about posters in the workbook. This Videotel program is the second in a series of 5 on firefighting at sea. Program 1 deals with fire prevention. Program 3, the next in the series, with command and control at the incident. Program 4 with command and control by the master. And Program 5 with machinery space fires. Further information can be found in the workbook which accompanies this series of programs.